Hi there, and welcome on the journey to transform culture. I'm Steve, and I'll be your guide. Well, folks, today I guess you can tell by the background, I'm not in my in some of my other, I guess you could say, backdrops, locations, right? Studio 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B. Here we go. We'll call this one 2B. 2B or not? 2B. All right. I know. A little corny. That's okay. Well, folks, I hope you're having a great day and an even better week. I want to jump into stepping up our game. I know, right? I'm not going to turn the camera around. I'm in the old shop, as you can tell. And, but behind what, behind you, virtually behind you, is a project I'm working on to clean up this shop of my uncle's. And it has not received much love for probably the better part of 2.5 decades. On the fringes perhaps, but not on the depths. So I'm applying a little 5S, if you remember what that is. If you don't, go to the other videos and you can look that up. But a little bit of 5S. So I've started the sort process, and it's been extensive, but I got to a place where I got this bench cleaned off, at least the top part and some of the back wall, with some of the gear that was on it piled deeply. So, anyway, there's that. But stepping up our game, what does that mean? I mean, it means so much, right? There are times when we're just kind of operating, we're in our day, on our mode, right? We're going Monday through Friday or whatever your work week looks like in your organization, because that's how we jump in. We typically talk about the organization as a jump in point, but it boils right into our broader culture, but also in reverse order, it boils right into us as individuals too, right? So sometimes we have to step up our game. Sometimes we have to do a little detox. We got to get more rest. We've got to make the adjustments, right? Individually and as a team. But within organizations as well, we have to step up our game. And how do we know we need to step up our game? Well, if you see that ever sneaky little apathy sneaking in there, people start to get a little bit of slow roll. The enthusiasm starts to dip a little. People don't seem as challenged. And I don't mean challenged in like, oh my gosh, they're overwhelmed. I just mean that they're not engaged because perhaps you're in a lull. Maybe you're between projects or work or this or that. You really need to, as leaders, it doesn't really matter what level, you really need to have some side projects. Hey, when we get the opportunity, we need to work on this thing or that thing. And a lot of leaders do this. So this isn't anything new for you. But for you up and comers, definitely want to keep a list of side projects, but keep in mind, these projects need to be prioritized. What's going to benefit the customer the most? Secondarily to safety, right? You shouldn't be waiting on a list for safety. You should be jumping right on safety stuff. All that said, moving on. So you have to step up your game, and sometimes we need to shift our focus, right? Pinnacle shift, shifting our focus. What is our aim point? What was once our true north is now drifted. Our true north is now over here because now we're doing this thing. We're adjusting to changes in the dynamics of culture, in the dynamics of customer requirements, in the dynamics of what we make or we produce or the services we provide. That's where the shift is. And that shift only happens if we're able to shift as a team and as individuals. So we delightfully compress that into the phrase stepping up our game, because we've all been there. Who hasn't been to sports, to any kind of sports outing? Baseball, well, maybe not as much baseball, but it doesn't matter. But typically the open-ended stuff like football, basketball, soccer, or football if you're overseas, and different sports where you notice that in the second half or the third or fourth period or quarter or that sort of thing, that the team steps up its game. And don't we always kind of go, well, if they would have played like that in the first quarter, we would have won this game, right? Well, this kind of comes back to the dominoes that I've talked about the entire time. You have to understand that there's a relevance to every moment, every minute that you're there servicing your customers, because everything you do is going to equate to missing, hitting or missing the mark. And you're going to look back and say, well, what could we have done differently? And that's what a lot of your meetings should be about. Where are we at? What could we have done differently? Let's do that going forward, right? Let's shift our priorities. Let's shift our focus, right? Our true north now is to go this way. And what you find that you're doing is that you're sharpening, right? You're ever sharpening. When you do this, you're sharpening yourself. You're sharpening your team. You're sharpening your organization. You're making yourselves more effective, right? And when we're more effective, quite honestly, the work is easier. The work is more fun. We can have a good time. We're doing what we have to do. We're pumping on all cylinders. You get that synergy going. Your blood's flowing. It's kind of fun. It's kind of exciting. It's when you can have fun with your team too. And it's even better because you're hitting your targets, and we're able to do more and have do more flexible things for our teams as well, because we have a little bit more time in the gaps to do more things. Because we're not overwhelmed and stressed, because we've done all the proper prior planning, as we've talked about in previous videos. We've done all those good things. Now, keeping in mind, you don't just end up here. We have to first step up our game. So what does that mean? Well, it means our cadence has to be just a little bit faster. You don't need folks to sprint. You don't need to be unsafe. You don't need to be, running around all freaking out about things, but you do need to increase your cadence just a couple heartbeats a step, right? And because you'll find you can do more when you do that. When you're having conversations about how my team destroyed your team in last night's game, make it moments, not minutes, right? Make it, be balanced, right? We're not saying we want to suck the humanity out of our organizations or our teams or ourselves. No, we don't want to do that. We want to cultivate that. But we do that by putting first things first, right? And how we do that is to step up our game. We increase our cadence ever so slightly. We get more focused on what we're doing. We be a little bit more accountable for all of those moments that add up. And that isn't just to say our interactive moments either. These moments could also be, if you've got to go do a thing, or if HR is a good example. Oh, they need so and so to go to the office, but the office is, half a mile away, or, hundreds of thousands of feet away in a busy plant. And now you have to stop producing work to go fill out a piece of paper and sign a sheet. No, you need to change how you do business. You need to send that HR out to that work area and do that stuff. You need to prioritize how you do work and how you execute in these manners. It's really the subtle things that are kicking your butt. You probably know this. You probably felt this if you don't know it. It's the subtle silliness where we're not, picking up our game and doing better in certain areas that's really kicking our butt. It's where we're losing minutes and moments here and there, like a dripping bucket, right? A leaking bucket. And it's difficult to step up your game when you're constantly being interrupted for very silly, non-productive things. So this is another reason why we don't want to break up our team's momentum. We want to allow them to get a momentum. We need to do the proper prior planning so that they can come in and hit their stride quickly and early. If they've got to wait 30, 45 minutes to start working, you have a problem, okay? And you need to step up your game. You need to get more prepared and so forth. Now, we know things can happen, but things shouldn't be happening every other day, a couple times a week, a handful of times a month. When things happen, they should be rarities, not the usual expectation. It shouldn't be that we're incorporating extra break times into our failure, right? That's not pretty at all. And then your customer comes to visit and wonder why half the team isn't working, and it's because XYZ machine, or we didn't do this, or we dropped the ball there, or blah blah blah. Next thing you know, their order that they asked for that was supposed to be at a certain due on a certain date is 6 weeks late, running 6 weeks behind, or 4 weeks, or 2 weeks. It doesn't matter if it's 6 minutes. If you're behind, you're behind. If you're not attending to the customer's needs, then you have to peel back the onion to get into the core root cause of why and who's dropping the ball. And you might find that there's some middle managers, and I'm not saying every middle manager does this, but it does happen. And so it's a habit we need to curb. So if you're a middle manager, you know, check and say, go, am I doing this? Or is somebody that works for me doing this? Or, we need to talk about this. We can't diffuse the customer expectation because of our lack of priority. If we decide that, well, I'm not going to work this one, I'm going to work that one, but this hasn't been a coordinated thing, or we haven't talked to the customer, or we haven't kept the customer in the loop, and then we proceed to do a thing or fail to do a thing, and then our customer has no clue of why they aren't getting their order, or they don't know they're not going to get their order, but they've been waiting and frothing, just, hey, we need it, we need it, we need it. But you knew 2 weeks ago that you weren't going to get the order on time, but then you wait for a day or two prior to the order being done, or when it's scheduled to be done, to finally gird up enough guts to call the customer and say it's going to be a week late or whatever. That's a foul. You need to have this conversation as soon as possible. You need to do these things. This is what being proactive and stepping up our game isn't just working a little harder and being a little bit more focused. It's being more responsible, more accountable, taking ownership and pride in what you do. If you take ownership and pride in what you do, things will come easy because you will be on top of things, right? You are an advocate for your customer when you're working in your organization. Now, you can extrapolate this into broader culture at large too. You are an advocate for your family, for your friends and your friend groups. You're an advocate for all kinds of folks in different groups throughout your entire community and broader, right? So you're an advocate and you're responsible and accountable to those folks. It's no different in your organizations, right? You're a member of that team. You are a responsible advocate for the customer. All times, every second that you're at your work sites, you are an advocate for the customer. So anyway, stepping up our game. You can think of lists of ways where you can step up your game, talking about many industries. Some are doing physical work to produce products. Some are providing service. Some are in offices doing mostly, computer work and software and design and these sorts of things, engineering from that side of the house. We can all step up our game. If you can't find something in your office and you're an engineer and you're supposed to be building critical things, but your office looks like a tornado hit it, well, you know what? The outside is often a reflection of the inside. So make sure that your work surroundings reflect, your approach to being accountable to your customer as well. Not only is it more safe and probably a requirement where you're at, but also it's being more organized. So somebody's looking for a thing, or you're looking for a thing, or a tool, or a this or that. If you've got things scattered hither and yon, then that's a foul, right? You need to keep things in their proper place, right? Proper prior planning, of course. Everything has its place, right? Every tool, everything has its place. When we're done working, we put our things away. We make sure we clean up our area. All these things are also OSHA requirements. Did you know that dust can accumulate, right? Did you know dust is a explosive hazard? Yes. Now, go run your finger along along anywhere in your work site. That is an explosive hazard. So these are the things you want to be attuned to, because it's not only safety, but it's your effectiveness, right? Especially of what you're building, and then you have all these, either unhealthy or, you don't want dust particles around you when you're doing food, right? You don't want filth around when you're creating food products or equipment that handles food. You don't want these sorts of things, right? Because your customers, you don't want to hurt your customers, and you don't want to hurt your customers' customers, which is the broader consumer. So look out for everyone. When we're stepping up our game, there is no limit to how much and how well you can step up your game. That's the fun part about it is hey, how can we improve? And this falls right into improvement. If you think, well, I'm going to step up my game, part of that is, hey, what can I fix or what can I make better? What can I make it? And hey, if you're a person that, oh, I don't care if I make it better, well, make it easier. If you make something easier, it's probably more efficient and more effective, typically. Not always, right? And always validate these things with your team, right? Don't just start doing different things just randomly. Okay. Make sure you're on track with your policies, processes, and procedures and being safe at all times. All right, folks, that's enough on stepping up your game. I know you can step up your game. I'm stepping up my game here to help out the safety and function of this equipment here in this shop, and as well as the shop at large. I know you can do it. You can do it not only for your organizations, but you can do it in your personal life too, at home, in your homes. Make things better and work better for you. Your yards, get your family involved. Make it a thing, right? It's springtime, spring cleaning. Hey, boom, let's get in and spring clean. Let's get things rocking and rolling. You can do it. All right, folks, remember to hit that good domino 3 to 5 times a day to uplift, motivate, inspire, and just encourage folks. And when you do that, not only you're improving and helping to improve culture, but you're improving yourself at the same time. And that's a fantastic thing. And don't think lightly of it. All right, folks, hit like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, take care.